What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the BlockHash podcast. Today, I have another wonderful episode and guest here on the show, Leanid, head of ecosystem for Network3, a protocol that's focused on decentralized, authenticated, anonymous, and reliable data transmission and computation. We're going to learn more about what Network3 is up to these days and what they're working on in their own ecosystem and building. So, Leanid, welcome to the show, man. It's a pleasure. How you doing?
Hello. Thank you for inviting me. My pleasure coming to such a podcast. I'm doing well, thank you. So my name is Leanid. I'm head of ecosystem at Network3. We're at Network3 focusing on making AI to democratize AI, make it more accessible, and allow startups and businesses to interact and make their AI experience much more secure, reliable, and scalable. I'm a senior at UC Berkeley doing data science and finance. Joined Network3 on the ecosystem side and mainly focusing on partnership, our growth, our marketing, our product, the way how we interact with many projects in the Web3 industry and especially in the Web2. And I'm responsible for kind of making our team growing and all of the growth related things.
Awesome. When did you get affiliated with Network3?
April this year. So I would say not.
Okay.
I mean, we're a very young company, so
Sure. When did
it's
it
kind of
start,
interesting because
the
the way
company?
we transmission, we're kind of our founder Rock Zhang, one of the geniuses and the person I'm learning a lot from. He was doing a lot of businesses in a Web2, and then he kind of transitioned into Web3. And I met him at UC Berkeley. The initial idea for me was I was kind of curious to explore the intersection of how we can interact blockchain and AI computations and kind of just enhance just make it that AI is good for generation, blockchain is good for verification, kind of explore the intersection between those aspects. I met Rock Zhang literally the next day when I had this idea, and I was like, oh damn, let me check what's Network3 is doing. And then I read the light paper, and I'm like, okay, let me join.
So let's dive into it. How would you best define Network3, and what would you say the mission or the goal is that you guys are aiming to achieve with Network3?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say that Network3 is we're an infrastructure for edge AI. So in the nearest future, you will be able to build your own AI agents and basically interact with AI in a completely secure ecosystem where your data just is being owned by you, and you can train the models using the confidential computing. So you basically don't need any third-party services or any cloud services whenever you have the protocol which enhances decentralized computing. And some people can say that we're trying to compete with Google Cloud or AWS, but I would say we are a more advanced solution for users who are seeking solutions to work with sensitive data sets. For example, if you're in finance, you can run the script which can predict the credit score, but you cannot interact with your user's data. You can do the synthetic data set which can predict, but you never can actually interact with the user's data. And what we are trying to do and what we're trying to solve is that you actually can any user can have their own AI which is owned by you, and you kind of have this blockchain consensus ownership of your own data sets, of your own data, and you can play around with AI. And I would say our mission is just to democratize the access to AI and make it more simpler for users to interact. One of the next products which will kind of showcase this mission, it as a product, will be the local LLM. So it will be the LLM, about 1 billion parameters, which actually will run the inference on the edge. So it can run the inference on your device, and you will be able to kind of tune it and play around, and it can learn from you. You can allow opt-in, so the app can read some of your applications, but using the trusted execution environment, we're making sure that the data sets which the model extracts from your device are just staying on your device and will never leave it. And this morning, we're recording it on October 16, Mistral, also one of the biggest players in AI, released their 3 billion 3 billion parameters model, which is focusing on edge inferencing. So I would say we're aligning with the industry, and we're kind of going a bit probably earlier than the industry actually seeking the solutions. But I believe like that edge is kind of like the future because everyone needs like this privacy and security.
Got it. Do you have any existing use cases as of now or as of lately, like to kind of give an example?
So I mean, we were talking with some healthcare providers, like just kind of like that they can like basically install Network3 and they can like run the. And the problem with the models is like the models are not the issue here. So all the models, like all of those like transformers, they're all pretty simple and like you don't need like GPT-4 with like billions of parameters to like basically analyze some image. You just need like some cohesive model. But the issue right now is more that we don't have a solution how to run the inference. We have a problem that like we just cannot like align the existing models with like the need which we see in the market, and we're like approaching from this angle. So I would say we have some use cases from healthcare. We never like really announced any like actual like partnerships where we're still like playing around. We're still deploying the models. I think we deployed like around 400 models on our end. So, and we're just seeing and like testing how it performs. So, and I think the first quarter of 2025 we will like announce the decompute protocol. So, and like you as a user will be able to like come up and actually play around with like computations. And I would say like the goal of Network 3 is not to like build those D apps where like you can like come up and run the AI agent, but for us it's kind of like we build in the infrastructure for others to build on top of us. And we have very like straightforward approaches that we're an infra, we would love you to come and build on top of us. And it's not like you build it on top of us. Like in a typical Web3, it's more like you're leveraging our infrastructure for your task or for your like computations. So that's the approach we're taking.
Okay. So yeah, you guys want to be like the infrastructure layer for these things that get built, but you don't want to necessarily build them yourself.
It's kind of like sitting in two chairs at the same time, and I feel like it's like not a winning position. And I feel like especially in like DePIN industry, you need to. The market is still super early. Like if you look like you and me understand DePIN, but like if you go and talk to even like I was literally talking to the guy from Berkeley who got the internship at Coinbase, and I was like, "Yeah, DePIN," and he's like, "Oh, what's DePIN?" And I'm like, "Dude, you worked at Coinbase and you don't know what DePIN is." Like, so DePIN is hella early, and I feel like in the DePIN industry, it's important to kind of like define your place in your solution and allow others who are joining the industry to collab with you and see the synergy with you. And that's kind of like what I'm seeing from the ecosystem is kind of like make sure that users who are interacting with like decentralized computing with like edge AI and like DePIN as generals, they will be coming to us and they will be seeing us as like the leader, and like just whenever they see the problem with like decentralized computing, they're immediately talking about us.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about the DePIN industry, as well as like DY and stuff like that. Like they kind of, factor into each other fairly nicely.
Yeah, and I would say one of the greatest aspects about DePIN is that I clearly don't see any competition in the market. Like maybe in other Web3 projects. Since we are still very early, and I would say that the main issue is like user adoption, we don't really like, we need to educate users to get into the industry. And that's kind of like probably the biggest competition everyone faces right now.
And is that stuff that you're mainly seeing in the ecosystem as well too? A lot of DePIN stuff, being played with, being potentially built as well.
Yeah, I mean, like DePIN in general is a very good concept. Like it's like you and even Tesla with their like Tesla taxi, which they announced last Thursday, it's kind of like you can see it's like a DePIN where you buy hardware and you will be able to let it drive and earn for you. So it's not like a decentralized, it's still like a centralized, but it's like the way how I feel like all of the are shifting. And I think like we never will kind of like go into DePIN industry, but I feel like DePIN industry will go into Web2, and more businesses will be like accepting and like implementing the DePIN use cases into their business.
I also know that you guys have quite a few different nodes people can run as well. Is that the main way someone could contribute to Network 3? Or are there other incentivization routes as well to get people to participate?
Yes, for now, we have a very simple system. You can run the node which will be shown on DePIN scan. So it's the node which is like your hardware, like your smartphone, your PC, or like your GPU. So you can like contribute your bandwidth, data sets, and computational resources to the network. So it's like the most simple way on how you can interact with the models, how you can interact with Network 3. So we are like, I think like 360K nodes as for now. So we're growing pretty fast. And the hardware which we have, it's like N3 Edge mining machine. It was launched with collab with IOTax. So it's like a hardware which basically makes sure that the nodes which are those like 360 nodes, that they collab together well, and it's like they're like more important node, I would say, over the other ones. So, and they're getting the high reward. And right now, if you go on a DePIN scan, we are like the fully integrated into like DePIN scan verification. So it's like we verify the DePIN device, and using this hardware, you can like see the daily earnings which you can get, and like you can see like your ROI on the hardware. So it was like the first batch. It wasn't like many mining machines. I would say right now it's like maybe 4K live. So it's really a low number, but I think we will go like higher and higher. Like the goal is to get around 100K by the end of the year. So it was like more like just see how it works, and we try to do this in a very smart way of like double mining. So whenever we like, it's pretty hard to like whenever you launch your own hardware and your own like value proposition and your like mission statement to actually get the users. I mean, it's not hard, but it's like it requires time, attention, and like resources. So when like IOTax is our main partner, and we just collabed with IOTax, and IOTax is given like the rewards for users to provide their hardware. So, and like the users who interact with N3 Edge mining machines, they earn like tokens of Network 3 and tokens of IOTax.
Nice, man. I mean, on your website, you guys seem to be having a lot of traction. Like I was just looking at your stats. Like again, like you mentioned, over 350,000 active nodes, 2 petabytes of network traffic served, 185
Yeah,
plus countries, 97,000 active sessions daily. Like, for being relatively new, like you mentioned, like that's really good growth. If someone wanted to, run one of these nodes, is the system requirements pretty simple? Like, can you run it on your computer? Do you have to have any specialized hardware to do so, or what's that kind of entail?
got it. Yeah, we are not limiting you for like the hardware which you can connect. You can basically connect Windows, Mac OS, Linux, iPhone, and Android. So we don't have like the edge requirement for the projects which kind of like collab with us in the ecosystem. We certainly have like on the ecosystem we have like the edge requirement whenever we like partner with some project and they want to leverage our nodes for some of their tasks and practice double mining. We have this like edge requirement, and we just sort our nodes out. But for the users to connect, we don't really have like any limitations. So you can connect, and of course it will depend on like your earnings. Like if you like connect like NVIDIA 800 like GPU, you will be earning much more than you connect like old iPhone or old Android. So if you're curious, go to Network3 AI, and like there will be like the white paper listed. So, and it's like the game series fully described, and like you can study and kind of like think how you can maximize your earnings.
Do you guys also have an ecosystem token that kind of functions in tandem with that?
Not yet. I mean, we never launched the token. I mean, our like users are able to pre-mine like N3E token, which is like the token with like IOTax double mining. So, and you can like pre-mine the tokens right now. So there will be a ratio announced later with like uh, when we will actual TG happening. I mean, we plan to do TG soon. Like there is no like huge kind of like a rush for us, but we are looking to do it.
Yeah, I was going to look for the website, I went to look for it through LinkedIn. I don't know why I did it that way, but
Hmm.
when I clicked on learn more, something called Hotspot VPN popped up, and it said that it was powered by Network 3, and it seemed really cool because I haven't seen like that many really good decentralized VPNs out there. So I thought it was a interesting use case. Is that something that's also pretty big that you guys are proud of?
I mean, it is Rock Zhang is like managing it. It was like his previous company. It's still active, so it's like Rock Tech X holds like many different projects. So it's kind of like that's kind of like how the idea of Network 3 came up. So, and as I said, we're coming from Web 2, so it's like a lot of like Web 2 vision and traction is kind of like going into like Network 3 right now. And Network 3 is just being built by like, I would say the goal of like is to input Web 2 solutions using Web 3 rather than like just build pure Web 3. And I honestly don't really like the projects which just build their product ecosystem surrounded by Web 3. Like it's awesome, but I feel like the market is not really big if you try to like scale something big. Like there are definitely like big protocols, but like if you're just trying to solve blockchain related questions, you kind of like, my advice is you need to go outside on the street and just see people who are walking on the street and ask them if they even understand what blockchain is. And if they don't, you probably need to kind of like pivot your product to kind of attract more people like who are like, for me, because like I clearly see the product market fit in a way of like, we will get the users, we need the users who are just going to Starbucks and paying with their credit card, like those type of like usual people working in Web 2. Like they're the ones who are actually like hella massive users, like, and we need to kind of like go for them. And like I feel like if we will be trying to get like Web 2 users, Web 3 users will definitely come up because it's like they're all like incentives driven and they're like they will just notice us. So
It's kind of weird, right? That there's such great tech being developed in this space, even with what you guys are doing with Network 3, and even with this intersection with AI and blockchain. Like it's growing at a rapid rate, but we still today, almost 2025, can't walk into a Starbucks and pay for a latte with Bitcoin. Like it is a little awkward, and there is that issue in the space of, I think, not great. Um, UI functionality. Like most people, like ordinary people, like you're talking about, you go out onto the street and see a normal person.
yeah,
They want simplicity when it comes to technology. They want to push a button and something works. They want to say something and something happens. And I think that's a crucial part of this industry being able to move forward. Right, is finding ways to get the mass adoption through ordinary people out there on
yeah,
the street, but attracting them so that they can understand it.
yeah. No one is really like looking forward to connect their like crypto wallet to some service to just start going. Like it's like we're all used to connecting emails and like just get going. Like it's like um and you're definitely right. I feel like we're lacking the product design. Like I feel like one of the great like products in Web 3, like not from the technical perspective, but from the product design, is like Coinbase, because like they did it like super simply. Like you have just buy and sell button, like all makes sense. Like there's no like complicated user design. Like but whenever you're like talking about more like comprehensive Web 3 applications, you're like, what's going on? And sometimes I'm like coming up and I'm like, okay, like then and I feel like people in the Web 3, like they have such a passion to use like their Web 3 comprehensive words, like which no one really understands, and probably even they don't really understand the meaning of this technical like term, but they just so love to put it in every corner and just kind of like build their ecosystem from there. And I'm like, so, but what's like the actual like? I was kind of like, I will not say the project, but they were like talking to me for 15 minutes, explaining like what they're building, and I'm like, So at the end, what are you building? Like, what will users see? Like, users don't really care what layers like of infrastructure like throughput you're using. They care how their product works, and if it works, it's awesome, and just ensures that they like it and all of their questions are answered. Like, and I feel like this approach is more important for like Web3 builders. Yeah, not only if you're like a software engineer, but more like if you're like the product builder, if you're like ecosystem, if you're like a founder. I feel like those things are important.
100% agree with you on that. That's definitely going to be a crucial point for
Like
moving
you
forward.
definitely have like people coming to your podcast and like talking 15 minutes straight about some things which absolutely like no one need to hear. Like it's described in your white paper, and if the person really need to hear it, those people who need to hear it already probably read it on your white paper, and the people you're talking to, they just they really will not get value from you. And I feel like the goal of a podcast is kind of like just explain to users in the small simple terms, what are you building.
Ideally, with the podcast, what we try to aim to do is, educate people as much as possible and try and break things down so that they can more easily understand it. Like, what can you use the technology for? How's it going to benefit them? How's it going to make their life better, easier, more affordable, more accessible?
Yeah.
And like they don't care, how it fucking works. They just want to know what can they do with it.
Yeah. Like you need to bring utility. Like, and I feel like we are lacking, and also in like even the DePIN industry, like I see a lot of projects, and I'm like asking, so what's the utility value you're providing? Like, and our world is driven by utility. Like, you need to deliver X, Y, Z to get something. Like, and even I asked one like high level guy from Solana, and I asked, so that's awesome that you're like supporting meme coins. Good for you. Like, but I'm asking, what's economical value are you providing? Like, um, and yeah, I agree. They answered as a part of it's like a part of culture, and that's awesome. Like, cool, but at the but at the same time, Solana is building an awesome ecosystem. Like, just like they're doing a great job. Like, don't take me wrong. Like, I love them. I'm in touch with them. They're really good people. So, but I feel like some of the things in Web3 are not necessary, and like, but also some people can argue, oh my god, it's like it's super important. So I don't know, but my vision is that if we really want to like this industry to succeed, I think we need to like be shifting more into like the actual users than just like be in our hacker house and just like build like solve the problems which we come up with. Like I like how Casey is the creator of Ordinals. He lives around Berkeley, like, so we were like chatting with him, and he literally like just opened my eyes. Is like most of projects, they solve the problems which like they came up with. Like those problems are not existing in the consumer's mind. Like no one really like needs this like layer 2 solution. Like like will your life be better from having like the next 40s number 40 project doing like layer 2? Probably not. So feel like for us, like I clearly differentiate what we are building and like what is like the clear use case we have, rather than just like, oh, we do this like decentralized federated learning, we use like zk knowledge to just like trust and verify. Like, awesome, like, but like how it actually impacts you as a user. So, and I'm clearly explaining in the simple terms that you're just giving out your hardware, you're getting the benefits, and like, and I'm kind of like explaining how it works. And I feel like for Network 3 that's important.
On that topic as well, I guess, what else is coming up for Network 3, on your roadmap, the rest of this year, but also going into beginning of 2025, things that users might be excited for, or that you think could be interesting or impactful, or that you want them to be aware of. I'm sure you guys are, doing a lot anyways.
Yeah, I would say one of the very important things is local LLM. The one we were launching, that's probably one of the biggest projects in a way of like how users can be interacting with it. So because it's more like consumer oriented app, so you will be able to kind of like prompt to earn and build your own like AI agents and play around with your own data sets. We will be growing the nodes rapidly. We will be expanding our hardware a lot. Like the numbers which we have on our roadmap are like pretty high, and we're like, not gonna lie. Whenever I joined Network3, I was like looking at the roadmap, and I was like, okay, I don't know if we actually will be hitting those like nodes numbers. I was like, and then I see that we are like not just like growing as we predicted, we're like exceeding it, and I'm like, oh my god, yeah, we're actually like growing well. So local LM is one of the main products we're like will be showing the emphasis on. We will be expanding the nodes and just expanding the ecosystems. Probably, I would say expect for us to interact with most of like deep in chains and be kind of like integrated everywhere. Uh, I would say for users to expect that there will be a lot of integrations on the ecosystem level with different projects. So, and one of such types probably will be double mining, where you will be able to kind of like earn the tokens of project one and tokens of project two, and kind of like benefit from it. So those are the things I'm like expecting to kind of like deliver and execute soon. And especially, I would say we're getting a very cohesive list of advisors probably joining us. So, and there will be like tier one people, I would say.
What type of advisors? Like other companies, institutions, other investors?
A lot of university researchers, like Rock is a Stanford alumni. I'm Berkeley, so we're leveraging this network pretty cohesively. And I feel like it's important to get like the right audience in terms of like who have an option to give you an advice and who are actually interested in you to succeed. Like, and I feel like Berkeley and Stanford are really good places to kind of like interact with those people.
Do you see a lot of innovation desire for people to work in this space on your campus, like at Berkeley?
Most of my classmates go into private equity or investment banking, and I was literally like chatting yesterday with a guy who's going into like investment banking, and I was like, ah, cool, like, and I was taking a lot of finance classes, and I was expecting to either end up in private equity or investment banking, and now I'm in the deep in industry. Like, I feel like people are not as excited about blockchain in terms of like, uh, so you look at it from the perspective of Web two rather than like just be in a Web3 and look into like, okay, like it's awesome. So there's like a lot of people who are interested in crypto and like just blockchain in general. But a lot of people are interested in AI. A lot of people building some wrappers, and one of the products we want to launch also probably next year is going to be like kind of like, and it will be like as a decompute particle. But the point is that imagine you're a Y Combinator company, you just got into YC and you got with a promise that you're building AI, but you're using OpenAI like API to execute your requests on like response generation. And whenever you, for example, like plug in this like data sets from, for example, your email wrapper, like email marketing solution, and you're trying to like boost the business like emails, you need like the solution to analyze your all of your emails to kind of like get these things going on at the first point. And to get these data sets like retrieved, you basically give them out to OpenAI or Claude or Google. To Google, you give it in any case, like if you're interacting with Gmail. But the point is that you're basically giving away your customers' data, and then you're like training the model, training this like agent to assist the business. And the goal for us is to give like the solution, which is like you have the fully decentralized protocol, and you have fully decentralized layer where you can like put those data sets and kind of like just close it as a book, allow it to train, and just send it back. So there is no like um leakage of the data in any point. So that's kind of like our goal. And for us, like what I want to, for example, people to like, especially on campuses, build like with our infrastructure is that you have some like data sets. You can build like your own private AI agent with our solution. One of other things I was brainstorming is that like, okay, there is like a lot of courses. Every course has like its own like syllabus and stuff. What if we can be pre-training the models on the syllabus, on like on the course stuff, on the material, and just make it an SDK so it can be deployed on your computer and it can run without like the need of like cloud. So you basically drop all the needed information into like the model. You build an SDK and you can allow users like your students to basically just download it, and it can be like immediately like giving you the most needed information. And it's like, yeah, you can do it with a cloud, but the goal is here is just like it runs on your edge. So it's like it doesn't matter you have Wi-Fi or you don't, and you have all the needed materials. Like everything what the course was trying to deliver for you can be added into like this like very small like model which can run the inference, runs the computations, and runs the response generation on your computer. So that's like one of like use
Mhm.
cases. I was like, okay, Network3 can interact here. Network3 can be a solution for that.
That's very interesting. I mean, it almost sounds like an AI agent might be able to replace a professor at some point.
I would say probably not like replace as much, be like a helper. So, and I feel like AI will never be a replacement. I would say it will be a tool, but you need to kind of like find the best. And it's like, I feel like the AI industry will never be like, there is only one tool and one way of you interact with a tool. There will be like many tools needed for the specific use case. And for example, for like, as I said, for college, you have SDK, you download it, and you can like interact with your course material. And the best part, it all can be like private in ways that you can't, for example, share it out. Like we can try to lock it in. Like there is some ways on like how you can prevent your course to leak. Like I literally was like reading the on Reddit 2 days ago that there was like a guy on Berkeley Reddit trying to download, like asking how you can download the lectures from like Canvas from B courses, and I was like, okay, interesting. And there was like a guy or girl like responding is that don't assist this person because whenever you're trying to download the lectures, they're probably selling it in India or China, just like to just sell UC Berkeley courses. So, and I feel like it's very important aspects, and like you need to enhance like that. Like, okay, you don't have like leakage, and like how you can make it like all sustainably, and how you can use AI for the best.
I need to get an AI agent for my podcast. I bet there's some cool functionalities there. Probably could save me a lot of time.
And there was like a guy even like talking to us is that like, oh, can you like build an SDK for me for my like computer science bootcamp? So it's like it will be just I pre-train on my like materials, and like so I can like share this SDK on like the devices of my students and they can like interact with like agent. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Like we can try to do it.
To wrap up the episode, where can people go if they want to learn a bit more about Network 3? They want to dive into maybe the white paper as well. And, if they want to participate in the network, they want to run a node, maybe they're a developer, maybe they want to build something. Where would you send people so they can get started? Just to the website or where else?
Go probably on our Twitter. Network3 is Network3 AI is our Twitter handle. Go there and check it out. I feel like Twitter and Telegram are the places where we get the biggest number of announcements. Website, subscribe to our newsletter. A lot of things happening from we send out with our most recent updates. And probably just go and read. Maybe you don't need to write a white paper. You may just be good with light paper if you're just like a high level person, like you want to get a high level like description of us. Light paper is a good place to start, and if you're curious you can go into white paper and just see the whole research which Network 3 proposes.
Awesome, man. Leanid, thank you, man, for taking the time to come on the show. Really appreciate it. Learned a lot about what you guys are doing with Network 3 and what you're building, as an infrastructure layer, and excited to see what people start building on top of it. So keep me updated, and let's
Awesome.
do another episode again in the near future.
Absolutely. My pleasure. Thank you so much.